He almost canceled. Daniel Carter stood in front of his bedroom mirror, staring at himself longer than usual. His fingers adjusted his collar, then stopped. He wasn't sure if he looked ready or if he would ever be ready again. It had been 4 years. 4 years since his wife passed away. 4 years of raising his daughter alone. 4 years of pretending he was strong, even when he wasn't. Behind him, taped slightly crooked on the wall, was a drawing made with crayons. A small stick figure holding hands with a taller one. Above it were the words, written in uneven letters, "Me and Daddy forever." His chest tightened. "Daddy?" He turned around. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, stood at the door holding her teddy bear. Her eyes were innocent, but observant in a way only children who've seen pain too early can be. "You look nervous," she said. He forced a small smile. "Do I?" She nodded. He walked toward her and knelt down. "I'm just going to dinner. That's all." She tilted her head. "With the lady?" He hesitated, then nodded. She walked closer and hugged him tightly. "It's okay to be happy, Daddy." He froze. Children had a way of saying things adults couldn't. He kissed her forehead. "I'll be back soon." As he walked out the door, he carried more than just his keys. He carried hope and fear. The restaurant was warm and quiet. Soft lights, gentle music, the kind of place where people came connect. She was already there. Emma. She sat near the window, her hands resting on the table, fingers gently intertwined. She looked up as he approached. Their eyes met, and something passed between them. Not fireworks, not fantasy, but recognition. Two people who understood loneliness. "Daniel?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Emma." They smiled. It wasn't perfect. It was real. He sat down. At first, the conversation was careful. Polite, measured. "How was your day?" "Busy." "Yours?" "Same." But slowly, something changed. The walls they had built over the years began to crack. They laughed. They shared stories. They relaxed. For the first time in years, Daniel didn't feel like he was surviving. He felt like he was living. He noticed the way she listened, not just waiting to speak, but truly listening. He noticed the way her eyes softened when she smiled. He noticed he wasn't thinking about the past. He was present. Time moved fast. Too fast. Then suddenly, it stopped. Not physically. Emotionally. Emma's smile faded slightly. Her hands tightened. Her eyes dropped to the table. Daniel noticed immediately. "Is everything okay?" he asked gently. She didn't answer right away. She took a breath. Then another. When she finally spoke, her voice was quieter, more fragile. "You can leave if you want." Daniel frowned slightly. "Why would I leave?" She swallowed, then said the word she had been afraid to say all night. "I'm a single mom." Silence filled the space between them. Not loud, but heavy. She kept her eyes down. She had seen this moment before. She knew what came next. The hesitation, the polite excuse, the slow emotional exit. She continued, almost whispering, "I understand if that's not what you want." Daniel didn't move. He didn't speak. Not because he didn't know what to say, but because he understood something she didn't expect. He looked at her, really looked at her, not as a problem, not as a complication, but as someone brave enough to tell the truth. He asked softly, "Why would I leave?" She looked up, confused. Her eyes searched his face. "For most people," she said, "that's where things change." He leaned back slightly, then smiled. Not a big smile, not a dramatic one, just a real one. "I'm a single dad." This time, she froze. Her eyes widened slightly. "You are?" He nodded. "I have a 6-year-old daughter." She stared at him, not with fear, but with relief. Deep, overwhelming relief. All the tension she had carried into that moment disappeared. "You didn't tell me," she said. He replied gently, "You didn't tell me either." They both laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was human, because they both understood the fear of being rejected for something that defined their lives. Emma spoke softly. "I've had people walk away before." Daniel nodded. "So have I." They sat there, not as strangers anymore, not as two people trying to impress each other, but as two survivors. Two parents, two hearts that had been broken, but still believed in love. Daniel said something quietly. The strongest people I know are parents who didn't give up. Emma's eyes filled with emotion, because she knew he wasn't just saying words. He was speaking truth. Their conversation changed after that. It became deeper, honest, real. They talked about their children, their fears, their struggles, their hopes. They didn't pretend to be perfect. They didn't hide their scars. And that made it perfect. When the dinner ended, neither of them rushed to leave. Outside, the night air was cool and calm. They stood there for a moment, not wanting to break the connection. Emma spoke first. "I'm glad I told you." Daniel nodded. "I'm glad you trusted me." Then he said something that stayed with her forever. "You don't need to warn the right person." Tears formed in her eyes, not from sadness, but from relief. Because for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like a burden. She felt understood. As Daniel walked back to his car, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because he had found the future, but because he had found possibility. That night, when he got home, Lily was asleep on the couch, her teddy bear beside her. He gently carried her to bed. As he tucked her in, she opened her eyes slightly. "How was dinner?" she whispered. He smiled softly. "It was good." She smiled back. "Good." She fell asleep again. Daniel stood there in the quiet room. He realized something important. Love doesn't come to perfect people. Love comes to honest people. People with scars. People with responsibilities. People with pasts. Because the right person doesn't see your past as a problem. They see it as proof of your strength. And sometimes, the moment you think someone will walk away is the moment they decide to stay.